It really feels like artificial intelligence just showed up one day and changed everything, right? I mean, it's completely reshaping how we work, how we create. It's just everywhere. But what feels like this overnight revolution is actually the climax of a surprisingly long and wild history, a real roller coaster of a story. So let's get right to it. Did this incredible technology just burst onto the scene out of thin air? The answer is a huge, emphatic no. And believe me, the real story is way more interesting than you think. You see, for the better part of a century, the story of AI has been this dramatic cycle. You have these massive booms, periods of incredible hype and optimism, followed by these crushing busts, these devastating periods of disillusionment where all the funding dries up. They actually have a name for them: AI winters. To really understand where we are right now, we have to go back, way back to the very beginning, to that first incredible boom, when the dream of actually creating a thinking machine first took hold of our imagination. This era, you gotta understand, was defined by just pure, unfiltered optimism. It really kicks off in 1950 with Alan Turing asking that famous question, can machines think? By 56, the field gets its official name, and the pioneers in this space, they genuinely believed they could solve intelligence within a single generation. And you had these amazing breakthroughs like Eliza, a chatbot in the 60s that actually fooled people into thinking was a real person, and Shaky the robot, who could look around and plan its own actions. It really felt like anything was possible. But here's the thing. The promises were just getting too big, and the technology couldn't deliver. Then in 1973, a bombshell report dropped in the UK, the Lighthill Report. It basically declared that AI had failed to deliver on its grand ambitions. And that news, it sent shockwaves through the research world. And just like that, poof, the money vanished. Big funding agencies pulled out, research labs shut their doors, and that bright, shining dream of AI was plunged into its very first AI winter. Progress just ground to a halt. But a dream like that doesn't die completely, right? So let's jump forward to the 1980s and see how this whole cycle of boom and bust started all over again, but this time with a totally new strategy. So the strategy shifted. Instead of trying to build this giant, all-knowing, human-like brain, which turned out to be way too complicated, this second boom focused on something much narrower: expert systems. The idea was simple. Let's just capture the knowledge of one human expert in one specific field, like a doctor or an engineer. And you know what? It actually worked for a little while. Some of these systems saved companies millions of dollars. It really looked like AI was making a comeback. But the same old problems came creeping back. These expert systems were incredibly expensive to build, a total nightmare to update. And here's the kicker: they couldn't learn. Once the initial hype wore off, the market for this super specialized tech just collapsed, and AI found itself plunged into its second long, cold winter. Now, during this second winter, something different was happening. All the hype was gone, sure, but quietly, in labs around the world, researchers were laying the groundwork for, well, for everything we see today. The embers were still glowing, getting ready for a fire. Three key ingredients came together to set the stage. First, you get this huge symbolic victory. IBM's Deep Blue beats the world's best chess player, Garry Kasparov. It proved a machine could master a game of incredible strategy. Second, data. The internet exploded, creating this unimaginable ocean of information, the fuel that modern AI runs on. And third, you get a challenge, the ImageNet project, a massive competition to see which AI could recognize objects and pictures the best. The stage was perfectly set. And with those ingredients all in place, the world was about to witness the third and by far the biggest AI boom in history. This was the great AI eruption. Okay, this is the moment. 2012, a system called AlexNet, using a technique called deep learning, enters that ImageNet competition. And it doesn't just win, it absolutely demolishes the competition. This was the shot heard around the world for the entire AI community. The revolution was officially on. Progress was moving at lightning speed, but then a key innovation in 2017 changed the game all over again: the transformer architecture. It was a completely new way to process language that allowed these AI models to scale to sizes that were just unimaginable before. This was the technical key that unlocked everything we're seeing today. And that scaling, it happened fast. By 2020, OpenAI releases GPT-3 with a staggering 175 billion parameters. All of a sudden, you had an AI that could write essays, poems, and even computer code that was often impossible to distinguish from something a human wrote. The leap in ability was just stunning. And that leads us to the final step. In late 2022, ChatGPT was released to the public. And this was it. It wasn't some boring research paper anymore. It was a simple tool that anyone, hundreds of millions of people, could use. In that moment, AI stopped being this niche academic thing and became a global cultural force, literally overnight. Which brings us right here to today. We are living in the middle of this completely unprecedented AI summer. And it forces us all to ask that big question. After decades of these booms and busts, is this time finally different? This chart really says it all. The jump in AI progress just in the last couple of years is greater than all the progress from 1950 all the way to 2021 combined. This isn't just a straight line of improvement anymore, it's a vertical explosion. Let me put it this way. We are, right now, living through the fastest and steepest technological shift in all of human history. The pace of change is just unlike anything we have ever seen in any of the previous AI cycles. So that brings us to the final burning question. We've seen this cycle play out time and time again. Incredible optimism followed by a long, cold winter. But when you look at the sheer speed and the massive scale of what's happening right now, you have to wonder, after 80 years on this roller coaster, has the cycle of boom and bust finally been broken for good?